Hey guys, this is Martin Perdomo, the Elite Strategist. You're listening to Latinos in Real Estate Investing Podcast. And today my guest is a real special guest. And I'm going to tell you why. Dee is a personal friend. She's a colleague. We actually we got certified together as coaches and mentors. And let me put it to you like this. You know, when you go to school, right? When you go to school for something, if you're a doctor per se, and you go to school to be a doctor, you know certain things about doctors, so you only let certain doctors treat you, right? And some time ago, when I met Dee, we both got certified some time ago as coaches, and she's one of the few people I trust to do work on me, right? Some time ago, if you remember, Dee, I had gone to the doctor, I don't know, it was last year, right? This was last year, right?
This was last year, yes.
It was last year, and I haven't told you this, and I'm gonna tell you this now publicly on my podcast. So anyways, I had gone to the doctor, and my doctor, I went for my annual physical, and my doctor tells me, you're borderline hypertension. And hypertension comes with the diabetes because of my family and my heritage and all that good stuff, right? So I remember that weekend, I said, I'm going to call Dee because Dee's got to do some work. So Deneen Andrades is her name, but I call her Dee. That's my dear name to her. So I was like, I got to call Dee because Dee and I know that a lot of things that our body triggers is in our mind, and it's in our unconscious mind, and we can let it go. So I said, I'm going to call Dee and I'm going to have Dee work with me. And we did. She did. We spent some time together. She worked with me. She tasked me, right? And she gave me some tasks, some things to do. And Dee, I haven't told you. So last week, I went back to my doctor for this year's annual. And my doctor, they took my blood pressure, and it was 102/68. Just so you know.
Perfect, yes.
102/68. And you know, I was borderline, and the doctor looked at me, and she kind of, you know what kind of pissed me off? I'll be honest. You know what kind of pissed me off? Because she kind of looked at it, and she kind of blew it off. And I was like, no, doc, wait, chill. We're going to celebrate this. Like, really, did you not see my blood pressure?
Right.
Like, why aren't you telling me that my blood pressure is freaking awesome right now? Like,
Exactly.
right? Because she got on me. She wanted to put me on medications right away and all that good stuff. But anyways, I attribute a lot of that to the work you did with me, Dee. And of course, I did a lot of the work.
Yes.
Did it myself, eating right and doing all that stuff. But anyways, I wanted to share that story in my introduction because she is special to me. She's a special friend. And Dee is also a best-selling author. The name of her book is Learning to Pivot, While Mastering Resilience. She's a coach. She's an international perspective expert and a speaker. But most important of all, guys, she's my friend. She's my dear friend. And Dee, thank you for being here and welcome. And so what's interesting is that the previous episode to this one, I had my real estate mentor. So here I have my health coach, right?
Yes.
And before this one, the previous episode, I had my real estate mentor on this show. So anyways, thank you for being here, Dee. I appreciate you. You know that I love you. And tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Why did you decide to go into this line of work? We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about the stuff we always talk about. So
Right. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. And my reason for going into coaching and writing my book and everything to help people is because that is exactly what I want to do. I believe that we are all here to help each other, and that there is no other way for us to be successful than for each one to teach or each one to lift one. And that is why I got into this. I have my entire life. That is what I believe is my mission on this earth.
And by the way, guys, what I didn't tell you, and I forgot to tell you, she's also one of Les Brown, the speaker. She is one of his mentees. So she's been mentored and spoken on stage with Les Brown personally, and she's mentored by him. So we have an expert here on this episode today. Again, like I said, she's my friend. I love her dearly, and I'm always happy to spend time with her. So Dee, let's talk about mindset. Let's talk about, this is a real estate investors podcast. And my listeners know that I'm always talking about the importance of mindset, right? How your mindset plays and how well you do here. Tell us, you as a coach, where does mindset play in order to be successful in anything in life?
Right.
What's the role for mindset?
Your mindset has every dependence on your success. So my coined phrase is, it's your perspective that allows you to be resilient. We all know that we're going to run into some sort of challenges, even actual issues in life. And it's your perspective that allows you to be successful and resilient. So I'll give you an example of that. A few years ago, my mom called me in an absolute panic, complete and total panic. My building just caught on fire. I'm okay, but my building just caught on fire and everybody is out and I'm okay, but the building is on fire. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Your building caught on fire? She's like, listen to me. I am telling you, my building caught on fire. I'm fine, everybody is fine, and I'm gonna get new stuff. Mm-hmm. I said, new stuff. Wait, okay. Did your stuff burn? How bad is the fire? I don't know. I mean, it's pretty bad, but I know I'm gonna get new stuff. I'm gonna get all new furniture. And I wanted to go shopping anyway. So I was like, I was the one that had to catch up with her. She had flipped her mindset so fast from being a victim to now being a victor because she's getting all new stuff, right? And I was like, okay. And my entire life, that is exactly how it's been. Everything, when it comes up, whatever that issue is, think your way out of it. Literally think your way out of it. But for her thing was, is your heart in it? Because if your heart is in it, that's where that unconscious mind is going to come in for you. That's where that mindset can change. Her heart was all the way in the fact that she was going to get new things, even though the fire was still burning in the condo that she lived in.
I love it.
Yes, that is the type of mindset we need to have. I'm not saying that everyone can flip and their resilience can turn on immediately like that. What I am saying, though, is without that skill, without that ability to change your mindset, success is going to escape you.
I love that. I love the fact that you brought up the word victim or victor, right? Are you going to be a victim or are you going to be a victor? And, right now there's this movement of, and I'm going to just call it as it is. And, if you got offended, I'm going to pre-apologize to you. My apologies if you got offended, but I'm going to call it as it is. There's this movement of people that are trying to shame others for their success. And so this is my show, and if you don't like it, change the channel. We don't play victims here, right? I'm about getting resourceful and figuring out a way, right? People, there's this movement of, well, if you're successful or if you have an expensive car, I know you have an expensive car, I've seen your car, right? And because you have an expensive car, you live in a beautiful city in San Diego, right? It's an expensive place to live in. And if you have an expensive car or you live in this nice place or this or that, you should be shamed. You should be ashamed of yourself because you're successful. What? What is your perspective on those people? Are those people playing victim or are they being victor? Those people that are trying to shame others for their success, what are your thoughts on that, Dee?
There are so many things that can be going on with that. First, I'd like for everyone to recognize that shame is an internally generated emotion. Ooh. No one can actually make you feel shame except you. Yep. No one. So please keep that in mind if you start feeling like something someone has said has made you feel less than. The other thing is, for those that are victims, those that are trying to make others victims in particular, they're coming from a place of fear. Fear is never a place that you can be successful from. And in that fear, they are trying to grab others and bring them down to their level and bring them down there. Those who are successful, whether it's in things or whether it's in life, because you have the love of your life and you have your health and you have all of these things. It's not always about money. Your success is what is good for you. A person who is trying to bring you down, their fear is what is controlling them. And that's what they have to address. Back to mindset. Mindset, fear. Everything I do is wrong. Everything I do does not turn out with the right impact that I want it to have. Everything I do does not work out. I can't win for losing. Victim mentality. Fear instilled in victims.
Okay. So D, how does one realize, and I'm sure you kind of touch on these topics on your book, how does one overcome that mindset? How does one, what kind of strategies? Why don't you give us strategies? Give us some meat and potatoes here. If you are, if you're finding yourself having these kind of conversations with yourself in your, in your head, or you're finding this fear, or you're finding yourself feeling this way, what can a person do to get themselves out of that state and change their state?
Right. So in my book, I talk about the 7 stages of hope. 7 stages of hope literally is the exact opposite of the 7 stages of grief. One of those is bargaining. And bargaining is on the side of grief, when you are not believing that you have enough. And so you're literally bargaining with yourself to try to get to whatever. Okay, I'll do this if whatever, I'll do that if whatever. On the side of hope, when we're talking about bargaining, I need you to fully commit to the resources and power that you have. And step by step, how you do that, write down that goal. It's really important that you not just think about it, but put it down on paper. Write it down. And then write down for yourself every day, one thing you can do to go toward that goal. So for instance, if you have a goal, like I have several goals, but I've had a goal on, in my particular case, it was how much money I want to make for this year. Of course, everything changed. This is 2020, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm like, shoot, what am I going to do? This isn't going to work. Traveling to speak isn't happening anymore, but it is happening this way via Zoom. So I started trying to look up different ways and different other organizations that were putting on Zoom events so that I could reach out to them to get paid. That was one thing I had to do. That was research, right? That didn't actually bring in any money yet, but I had to do the research. So that's step 1. Write it down, get it done. Step 2, actually apply to these different ones so that I could be paid, hired and paid to speak. That was the other thing I had to do. And trust me, it's not just very easy to get all of these things. What I'm doing is changing your mindset from, just like we were talking about, you're being a victim. You are bargaining with yourself on what you are capable of, but you have unlimited resources. So first step, second step, third step on whatever your goal is, no matter how small that step is, as long as it's taking you toward your goal, you can make that. For me, I'm someone that likes to just get things done, get it done. I want to see the results. Doing the research certainly did not feel like results to me. That was not results, but it was taking me closer, because without knowing who was offering those types of events, there's no way I could apply and actually get paid. So step by step, from your mind to the paper, specifically on those goals. As you continue to work each of those steps, your mindset begins to change as to what you're capable of. It's no longer, I can't do this, because literally when we're saying that to ourselves, we're we're kind of sitting, just being moping almost. I can't do that. Soon as you get yourself in action, you focus on what you want, you take steps every single day toward that thing, you're going to get there. And sometimes it's even better than you thought. That's the best part.
What do you find? I call that being resourceful, right? Looking around,
Absolutely.
what are the resources you have and figuring out a way. But what do you find are your clients' biggest limiting beliefs, right? Because there's usually limiting beliefs that hold this, the most common, not biggest, but the most common limiting belief, which, most people have when you work with them. And what advice would you give to someone there's two-part question, to someone that may be listening and have that limiting belief, how they can overcome that limiting belief?
The most common limiting belief is I'm not worthy. That is the most common limiting belief. And what I say to those to start out is everyone was put here to succeed, which means you are worthy of every good thing. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of happiness. You are worthy of whatever the goal is that you have for yourself. Not just you are worthy, you were put here because you are worthy, not just to be here and just to be happy and do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, which sometimes isn't all good things, right? But you were truly put here because you are worthy of goodness. And that's the reason why we have so many resources available.
Got it. And is there any particular strategy that you can give someone that they can do to overcome those negative emotions? Is there something that they could do on a daily basis? Is there something that they can do when the feeling, when the thought comes up, right? Because here's what I find when I work with investors, new investors, the biggest misconception I get is, I don't have any money, right? And my question always is, well, who says you need your money, right? Who says you need to have the money? Is there not enough money in the universe around us to create for you? Can you find the money, right? So you can go out there and get the money. Can you raise the money? That's the limiting belief, is I don't have any money. So what process can they do to get past that? I don't have any money. How can they get resourceful? Is there a strategy to help them change that mindset? Because can we agree that there's an abundance of wealth in this country all around us? Absolutely. There is. Can we agree that people have money sitting in accounts somewhere, they don't know what to do with it, and they're looking for someone like us to invest it for them and flip it for them, right?
Absolutely.
Are there people out there like that? Absolutely, right? So what can you tell them to do? What strategy could you tell them to do to get past that limiting belief, to get past that mindset, to reframe that mindset?
Right. So one of the things that I have people do, my clients do, who have a limiting belief of I'm not worthy, because in the end, I don't have enough money is actually an I'm not worthy. When you come down to it.
Correct.
And what it is I'm not worthy of having that much money, or I'm not worthy of whatever it is for them. So what I say to them, first off, is to help them understand you are worthy. So I give them a task. I give my clients a task. And the task is what I call the mirror exercise. And in the mirror, I tell them, I need you to look yourself in the eyes in the mirror. 3 things you forgive yourself for, and 3 things you're proud of yourself for. Now, in the case of that is to get rid of that I'm not worthy, which is the underlying of why they have money. In the case of they don't have the money, I'm back to go to the resource, figure out how to get it. What does that mean? I need money. Start writing down ways that you can get money, just like you were talking about. It doesn't have to be your money. Investors is an excellent way, to get money. And if you have the right plan and the right network Mr. Perdomo, right? If you have the right plan and the right network, you can get that. The resources are unlimited, just like you started off and you talked about, you called me when we were talking about health for you. Well, I called you when I needed help as well. The thing is, our resources are so abundant. It's not even always someone you know. That's the interesting part. You can be having a conversation and someone will say to you, oh, well, we were looking to invest in, and you're like, and I literally had someone that I used to work with say that to me 2 days ago. We were thinking about investing in real estate. And do you know anyone? I most certainly do. I most certainly do.
Absolutely.
but that is to your point, right? The money is there. They just came up to me. I'm not in real estate. Why would they say that to me?
The universe, because you and I had a discussion about it, and I told you the opportunity, and there it goes.
Yes, and that is exactly what I tell my clients when they're like, I don't have this, I don't have that. Our resources.
I so much love that you said that. I so much love that you said that. Go ahead, Dee. I'm sorry. I so much love that, because I'm gonna bring a point to that in a moment here. Go ahead, honey. Sorry about that.
Our resources are unlimited. Again, we were put here for a success. We were set up with unlimited resources. We just have to reach out. We have to actually go for it. My continually saying, write it down, it's on purpose, because now you have thought about it or done something about it 3 times simply by writing it down. First in your mind, you thought about it. Then you actually wrote it out. And guess what? While you're writing it, you see it. So I'm really trying to get these things into your unconscious mind so that you will continue on that path every single time.
That is so powerful, Dee. That is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, I was recently in my real estate investors meetup this past week, and this is perfect timing. This episode that we're recording is perfect timing. This is going to come out right in the holidays, right around between Thanksgiving and Christmas. This is perfect timing because, guys, this is the time right now. You're listening to this is when you need to be getting your mind right for 2021. You need to be getting your mind right. And I said to my students, I said to my attendees, they're not all my students, well, kind of, because I was teaching them. I said to them, I said, guys, you have to show up in your life. What does that mean? That means if you have a goal, show up, tell people about it, show up to events like this. When I partner you up with people, tell them what your vision is. You never know. And look, Dee, we had a conversation a week ago about investing, or never we had a conversation, and someone showed up in your life and you were like, well, Martin, my friend, right?
Right.
Of course, right? And that's how the universe works. Show up to go up. You have to show up in order to level up. You cannot level up if you don't show up for yourself.
Exactly.
You cannot level up. So what Dee is saying here, she's talking about write it down, right? You know it, see it, and write it down, guys. This is showing up for yourself. I know it's so easy. It sounds so simplistic, Dee, but it's not that simplistic because a lot of people can't sit down and get clarity on what they want. They just don't have the. I got to force people to do it in my office. You know what I mean? Like, come in, let's sit down, let's write out. What do you want? Let's start getting clarity around this.
Yes.
That's showing up for yourself.
It is. Most people, I'm sure, know who Jim Carrey is, right? Talk about someone who showed up for themselves. This man, he was an actor. He knew that was his gift. He was going after that. He wrote himself $1 million check, knowing full well he could not cash that check at the time. But what he said was he knew that he was going to be able to write himself that check and it be there. And of course, we know he's a multimillionaire now, if not a billionaire at this point. But he was showing up for himself. He didn't just write that check and hope it happened. He wrote that check and then he went after every job he could get. every job.
Going up.
Yes, he had to show up. He didn't just write the check and think, oh, the universe is going to deliver it to me. No, he knew he had to show up. So that's what he did. That check was his goal. And every step he took toward getting gigs that were going to get him money, that was his plan.
That's a great story. You know, me and you we're so operating on the same vibration levels. I literally shared that story 2 days ago at this meetup. literally shared that story. I literally shared that same story at my meetup. Tell us about your book. What are some of the things that you help people in your book? Tell us some of the strategies and some of the things that you go over in your book to help people.
Right. So again, the title of my book is Learning to Pivot, Mastering Resilience. In the book, I talk about the 7 stages of hope, the methodology that I developed to help myself and others get out of what I'm going to call grief. I'll give just a quick example. A lot of people don't think of grief as anything other than a death in the family or a death of a loved one, period. Grief is actually the loss of anything that is of value to you. That includes time. That includes the baby that lost the yellow crayon, sunshine, and lemonade, right? We actually go through a process every time we lose something. You don't believe me? Lose your phone. I did that one time. Went into an absolute panic, shock, the first thing, because I couldn't believe it. I have a place to put the phone, it should be there, right? That is the thing. Then, of course, after I went into shock, I went into denial because I have a place to put the phone, right? It should always be there. As we go through each of these, there is actually a corresponding way of hope. So at shock, immediately pivot. And do I tell you how to pivot in my book? Yes. So the first step that you're talking about doing in getting toward that pivot understanding is changing that perspective. So in the book, I give you 5 steps on how to start changing your perspective to start that pivot. Going into denial, I give you 5 steps on how to stop that process. Hint, step number 1, the pivot. If you do the pivot, you can circumvent denial. You can also circumvent anger.
Powerful. By the way, guys, I'm writing my book, and it was Dee that gave me the outline of how to write my book. So, I mean, we're really close friends. I'm almost done, by the way, Dee, with my book.
Yay!
I'm almost done. So, okay, Dee, so if you do the first one, the first step, you can circumvent anger. And what was the other one you can circumvent?
Denial.
And denial. And anger is an ugly one. Oh, anger can really destroy relationships and can really do some damage in your life.
For generations.
And your health.
Yes, for generations even.
Yes.
So just quickly, talking about this. So as you know, I was extremely close to my mom, and a couple years ago, she passed. Now, the interesting part about this is I had just released my book, and I had my very first book signing in Atlanta, Georgia. I came back, told my mom all about everything, showed her all the pictures, all of that. It was great. The next day, she died. Totally unexpected, completely and totally unexpected. I'm standing there. I'm just going to say this short part about the incident. So I'm driving to my mom's house because the police have called me, and I am totally not believing this, right? I just left her yesterday. I talked to her on the phone last night at 11 p.m. Everything was fine. I'm not believing this, right? I need to see this first before I can accept anything about what they said to me. So I'm driving out there about 85 miles an hour, not an exaggeration. And there was traffic, so I'm weaving and bobbing on top of it all. I am in total silence in my truck headed there. I get to her house, and I am walking in full determination to my mom's door, where there are literally 2 police officers posted up at the door, and they see me and they literally straighten up because I'm not sure what the look on my face was saying, but I was definitely determined. So they stopped me. They were trying to ask me questions, and I literally said, nope, I cannot talk to you until after I see my mother. And he stepped back and said, okay. I go. My mom's body is laying on the floor in the living room because, of course, the paramedics had brought her out to do CPR. So I'm looking, and just when I'm about to break, I literally feel my knees shaking. I hear my mom's voice say, "You're going to be grateful for this one day. Today's the day. Tell me why."
Ooh.
Now, obviously, she had said that to me many, many times in my life, right? So I'm standing there, literally frozen, thinking, I better tell her, because in life, I better tell her, right? That's not how that works. So I looked over at the police officer, Officer Rivera was his name, and I said, she was not alone. She was doing something she wanted to do. She got immediate medical attention. I can talk to you now.
Quickly reframe.
Pivot, yes. Reframe, pivot. I was able to take that. Now, don't think that means that at some point I did not cry about the loss of my mom. That is true loss. What I'm saying is that pivot allowed me to not be angry about it. It allowed me to not deny, because believe it or not, there are many people walking around in denial about the loss of someone or the loss of anything. It could be their job. It could be their house. Denial. Because I did that pivot, I didn't go into denial, and I was able to continue to function, to do the things that I needed to do to manage her affairs, as well as my own.
Powerful story.
That is why the pivot is so important, because in the beginning, when it happens, that's what you need, is that change of mindset, that change of perspective. And even in your business, I'm sure there have been times you did not win deals and that you thought that would be the absolute best thing for you all at the time. That change of mindset. There are many others. Maybe that wasn't the one for me. And the interesting part is, it's so amazing how the universe works out for us, right? We won't get something that we thought we wanted with our entire being, right? Our entire being, we wanted that thing, and we don't get it. And behold, we find out that if we had have gotten it, it actually would have been a problem for us.
It would have been bad for us, yes, ma'am.
Yes, and we get something better. And I know that is for you in real estate. You have always gotten something better. The next step up, like you said, next step up.
Level up, level up. Yeah, I got to tell you, that was a great, great story. And you're absolutely 100% correct. That's my mindset now. And I'm glad you said that, because yesterday I got a call. I got a call from someone, gave this gentleman my phone number. I gave him permission. He gave him my number. He called me. I was coming in the house and he says, you know, I'm an investor and I buy property. I buy real estate in your area. But, you know, I get a lot of calls like this. I get a lot of calls. I meet a lot of people, and, you know, I'm always looking for cash buyers or investors or partners. And I talk to a lot of people. And in our industry, there's a lot of people that say they're investors. They're really not. They're, you know, I like to call them pretenders. And I've been doing this long enough that I just kind of quickly know. But, you know, when I get on a phone call with someone calls me, there's a series of questions that I ask them, just to kind of see, hey, where is this going? What is it you're looking for? What do you want from me? You're trying to tell me something. What do you want? Or you know, like, I'm trying to get to the bottom of what the deal is. Because there's always something. People don't just call you for no reason, right? Unless they're friends, right? They don't know you. They're calling you for something. They want something.
Right.
Talking to this guy, and he said to me, I told him, hey, after I kind of did the sniff test with him, I started talking to him. I said, you know what? I realized that he was a real investor. And I said to him, you know what? We just closed on this 11 unit and I'm real busy stabilizing that property. And you want to get together, it may have to be in a couple of weeks because, you know, I got a lot of things going on right now.
Right.
And he goes, wait a minute, is that the 11 unit? And he had looked at that same property.
Okay.
Looked at that same property. The guy is from 100 miles from here. He had looked at the same property. And I said to him, then I really got in the conversation with him. I said, okay, why did you pass on the deal, right?
Right. Yes.
And we talked about it. He told me what his reasoning, which was the same reason I passed on the deal at the beginning.
Okay.
But at this point, after having this conversation, after speaking with him for about 5 minutes, I really knew that he was a real investor. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because of those same words that you said. He said, this is my numbers. Here's my offer. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for the seller, then then that's not the deal for me. There's another better deal down the road for me.
Exactly.
And when he said that to me, that's when I opened up to the guy and I said, okay, now I know you're a real investor. Let's talk. Because I know that I'm not talking to someone that's just looking to get, you know, I got a lot of people calling me just looking to get free coaching or mentoring or whatever, just for me to give them some tip or something. Right. And that's fine. Show up to my meetups, you know, show up to my other stuff where I'm doing that stuff intentionally, you know, and helping people intentionally. Just, you know, I just can't afford to do that on the phone with everyone that wants to call me. Right. So anyway, so that brings me back to the point what you just said is clarity, right? Like knowing that reframe of knowing, hey, if it's not that one, if it doesn't work out, there's a reason, right? Yes. Life is happening for you, not to you.
Exactly.
Life is happening for you, not to you. Dee, thank you so much, hon, for being here today. How can people get your book? Where can people get your book? Because I know that my listeners, guys, by the way, you need to get her book. Her book is, you heard her here, is full of gems, right? So you want to get her book. Where can people reach you, Dee, if they wanted to bring you on as a coach, as a mindset coach, strategist? And by the way, that's all she does, guys. As you guys know, I'm also a coach, but I am also a full-time real estate investor, right? So I don't have the bandwidth to take on. I'm very, very picky on how many people I take on right now, unless they go to my workshops or my seminars. But Dee, this is what Dee does, right? Full-time. She's a speaker, she's a trainer. We're going to be doing an event together soon, too, Dee. So where can people find your book? How can people find you? How can people connect with you to do to hire you or bring you on?
Right. So you can get my book on Amazon, actually. And of course, there are others, Barnes & Noble and so forth, but Amazon is what everyone is using right now. So you can get my book on Amazon. It is called Learning to Pivot, Mastering Resilience. My name is Deneen Andrades, and I will spell my name as part of my email so that you can reach out to me. My email is deneen@DENEEN'S.com. Deneen is spelled DENEEN at Deneen, DENEEN speaks, SPEAKS.com. That's Deneen@DENEEN'Speaks.com. If you're looking to reach out to me via phone, you can reach out to me at 877-216-4677.
And your website, my dear, is DENEEN'Speaks.com.
www.DENEEN'Speaks.com, correct.
Perfect. Guys, I'm going to ask you one last question, Dee, which I should have asked you earlier. Okay. And, you know, a lot of people don't understand, like I said, the podcast episode I did before this one was with my real estate coach, right? I have different mentors and different coaches and different things. And a lot of people don't understand the importance of having a coach, why having a mentor, having someone, you know, to take that role on. Why is that role important? Why is having someone to do that for you important in business, in life, and basically in anything that you're trying to accomplish?
The reason that it is important is because that is the only way to success. Any individual does not know everything, but there are always others that know more because they have had different experiences. As a matter of fact, life itself is set up that way. As a child, who's your mentor? You have your parents, you have your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, anyone older than you. Even if you have a brother or sister that's only 2 years older than you, they try to teach you. Once you get into whatever job, you have a mentor. No matter how good or bad they are, you have a mentor because someone shows you how to get things done. In school, you have a mentor. It's called your teachers. It's called your professors. You were successful as a child, in school, I'm sure in your job, but it was always with a mentor. That is how life itself is set up. So why wouldn't we think that we need a mentor for success overall? We do. We absolutely do. And for anyone who thinks they don't, the question is, how's that going for you, doing it all by yourself? Because you never are. You may think you are, but you never are. Never.
See, that's one of the biggest challenges that I had as a young man. When you're young, you think you know it all. I've always been so competitive that, hey, if they can do it, I can do it, which is a great attitude. I still have that attitude. If anyone else can do it, I can do it. But there was a little bit of arrogance to that where I wouldn't go and ask for help, where I was trying to figure it out. Man, and that was foolish. And I'm not gonna say arrogance, I'm gonna say more foolishness than anything else. Because I should have gone. And it wasn't until I got sick and tired of being broke that I finally, the pain that I was going through was so much pain that I finally went to the top sales guy and I said, dude, all right, I'm done with my ego crap. Help me. What are you doing? What do I need to do? And it just opened me up. I mean, it just like, the minute I did that, the minute I went and I asked for help, the minute I said, what do you know? What is it that I'm not doing? What is it? Where am I missing? The minute I did that, boom, next year made 6 figures at 24. Next year, just boom, by the things he gave me, right? So that's the importance of having a mentor, having a coach. You want to level up, show up for yourself. And if you need to connect with Dee, find her on her website, Deneen'Speaks.com. She already gave you, I'm going to put all of that stuff in the show notes. Dee, thank you so much for being here, my dear. You know that I love you. I appreciate you. And I look forward having you on here soon. And I look forward us doing being on a stage together real soon, my dear.
Absolutely. Yes. So do I. Thank you for having me. I love you. Love you all. It's fantastic. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience and to partner with you, even in the interview.
Absolutely, my dear. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.